Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Q&A. I want to start by saying I've had some incredible feedback and brilliant engagement from all of the perimenopause stuff I've been sharing recently in the squad and on my socials and the little reset guide that I put out on social media as well. By the way, if you're watching this, just message me and I could send that over to you. Or if you're listening to this, message me perimenopause, I'll send it over to you. I'm creating a perimenopause hub for squaddies as well. So that's something I'm doing in the background. But it's been really lovely to receive your feedback. And I'm going to be putting more out there to support women going through this transition because I really feel like it's an area where there is not enough support at the moment. So a lot of women who are actually going through the perimenopause or the start of it are being misdiagnosed as being anxious, maybe even depressed, maybe even having IBS, so many different things, or stress, when actually it's the perimenopause and there are things that can be done about it, so much actually. And it doesn't have to be a chapter that we're afraid of or worried about. It can be a chapter where we can absolutely thrive. We just need to know how to adapt and how to adapt for us. So there's going to be more and more coming out about that soon. So if you want the little guide, let me know. It's just 7 really basic things that you can do. And then stay tuned because I'm building out this perimenopause hub gang. Now, I've got a really brilliant question I'm going to start with today, and it's something that I see time and time again. And that is when you're starting to see results. So maybe that's from eating better or exercising. A lot of women get to a point where they start to self-sabotage. Maybe it's like 6 to 8 weeks in, start to see the results. And that's when all the old habits start to creep back in and we find ourselves going backwards and almost starting right back at the beginning again. How can we stop that from happening so that we can actually get beyond this hurdle and keep on getting results past this 6 to 8 week mark or however many weeks it is for you? How can we sustain this? So that's what I'm going to start off with because I think it's such a fantastic question and something so many people struggle with. And I've got some more brilliant questions today. So stay tuned. All right, let's go into question number 1. So the specific question is, I've had a good approximately 6 weeks. I did 28 classes in February and have kept it going into March. I have a repeated tendency to self-sabotage about the 6 to 8 week point. Just when results are beginning to show, I'm feeling much better and stronger. I just can't build on it and sustain it for longer. I revert to old habits and undo all the good work and then some. Having to start all over again a couple of months later, it's like Groundhog Day. Any advice, please? Again, as I said, this is really common and it can be absolutely exhausting because you're putting everything into those 6 to 8 weeks, you're seeing results, and then the habits creep in, we go backwards, and then it can be just completely emotionally draining and physically draining as well. And by the way, 28 classes in February is absolutely phenomenal. So give yourself a huge pat on the back for that. Now, when we first start anything, whether that is a challenge or whether it's a new diet or a new fitness program, there is the shiny object syndrome. It's new, it's exciting. Our brain is releasing dopamine, which is the reward, the hormone that is released for reward. Yeah, that's what I want to say, the reward hormone. Because it's exciting. It is rewarding to start something new and start seeing results from it. But as the weeks go on, that novelty wears off and life stress just creeps back in. Our whole old habits can creep back in because the brain likes familiarity. And it sees familiarity and safeness, quote unquote, being safe in your old habits because that's what it's used to, even if your old habits are not benefiting you, even if you're trying to create new positive change. Because anything where we are creating change, we always say humans don't like change. Yeah, that's because at the start it feels uncomfortable. But more often than not, it's for our benefit, right? So we have to get over that uncomfortable feeling. And that might be after the 6 to 8 weeks when the novelty is worn off. It might start to feel uncomfortable. And like I said, our brain is wired for safety, for knowing what it knows and our habits. And our habits might not be in line with our goals. And we have to ask ourselves the question that if I keep on doing what I'm doing this week, am I going to get to where I want to go? If the answer is yes, great, keep going. If the answer is no, maybe some of our old habits have creeped back in and we are starting to go backwards. So it's about recognizing that that's what's going on. Our brain is wanting to retreat because it sees our old habits as safety, and it is uncomfortable getting over that barrier. But this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. because we have told ourselves that we always do this. We have told ourselves that we do 6 to 8 weeks and then we can't sustain it. So, guess what happens? We don't, because we told ourselves we won't. We are the story that we tell ourselves. And the only way to get out of this is to tell ourselves a different story. So I used to think like that, but now I know what's going on in my brain. It's looking for safety, but my old habits do not support where I want to go. Think about your future self and how your future self would behave. That was the person you used to be. This is the person you are choosing to be now. We have to act like the person we want to be if we want to get to that person. We have to do what that person would do right now in order to become that person. We can't keep telling ourselves we will at some point in future because it won't happen. So we have to do it now. We have to feel a little bit uncomfortable as we make that positive change. But then that very quickly becomes our norm. And that becomes our new habits. And they're habits that will really benefit us. So firstly, it's about you are the story that you tell yourselves. Also, 6 to 8 weeks of eating really well, of exercising, you've built a substantial amount of evidence that you can do this 100%. So it's about recognizing that and leaning into the evidence that, well, I know I can do it. I've stacked up all this evidence that I can absolutely do it. So why can't I do it for one more week? That's crazy. I've done 6 to 8 weeks. Of course I can do one more week. And then another one, and then another one, and another one. And then it becomes your routine, it becomes a habit, and it becomes who you are. So that's an important thing to remember here. It takes a little bit of rewiring. But in order to do that, we can't set ourselves massive high standards that they're just too unachievable to reach as well. We need to have a range target, a non-negotiable minimum that no matter what happens, if we have a week where we're not motivated, or we're having a week where we're so busy, or something happens that's out of our control, that is the minimum amount that we stick to, say 3 classes a week. And then we have our ideal that we strive towards. Of course, we keep aiming towards our ideal. Maybe most weeks we get the ideal, but that is our safety net at the bottom, and it stops us from falling into the all or nothing mindset. And also recognizing that, say, if your aim is 6 classes a week, but you've done 4, some people would look at that like, I've not done it. I've not achieved what I wanted to achieve. And other people would look at it like, wow, I've done 4 sessions this week on a really tough week, or a week where I really didn't feel like it. I'm so proud of that. That's absolutely amazing. And isn't it just? And it's above the non-negotiable minimum of 3. Amazing, brilliant. So have range targets. Another one is set yourself a rule. And this is a good rule, rule of 3. If we miss one day, okay, no worries, life happens. Second day, we miss it. Okay, not great, but I'm going to spend my whole day sorting out, or I'm going to make sure whatever I do that day, I'm preparing for it happening the third day, and it has to happen. And the third day, no excuses, it's got to happen. Otherwise, we're going down a slippery, slidey slope. Be strict with yourself, adult yourself as well. And expect motivation to dip. Motivation isn't going to be there all the time. We cannot rely on motivation. It's, motivation just comes and goes. So we have to plan our sessions in advance, set your range target, set your ideal, and then we just have to show up even when we don't feel like it. Negotiate with yourself. Say that I'm going to do the warm up. And then chances are you probably want to continue, you probably feel better just for getting started. And if it really, 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 really don't want to do it, then I'll stop. Or I'll change the workout. Or I'll just do 10 minutes instead of 20, or just something. You can also get your kit out, or just say, I'm just going to do it in whatever clothes I'm wearing. Reduce the barrier. If you know that your motivation is going to be low, how can you plan ahead? And it might be, if you have the luxury of setting a time for yourself to do your sessions, set a time. Do it at the same time Monday to Friday, and it very quickly becomes your weekly routine, very quickly. First thing in the morning is great because it's a great start. It's an energizing thing to do at the start of the day. And also, it means that you don't have to negotiate with yourself whether it's going to happen later on. And it's the part of the day where no one needs anything from you yet. That's your time. Pour into your cup. Some people like to use it as the work into life transition, and that helps them, wind down. Some people like to do when the kids have gone to bed. And for some people, routine might be, right, 2 strength classes, a cardio and a holistic, wherever I can fit that in. I'm going to try and do it on these times, but actually I've got a baby or I've got young kids, and that isn't going to be realistic some days. So the days that doesn't happen, I'm just going to switch it around to where I can. That might be your routine, those things. And you might have a non-negotiable of 1 strength, 1 cardio, 1 holistic, just as an example. But it stops us slipping into the all or nothing thinking. But just remember that we are the story that we tell ourselves. And the only way we can get out of this 6 to 8 weeks is prove it. So just do one more week like that, and then another, and then another. But just making sure that we're not setting the standards too high for ourselves and setting ourselves up for failure. We want to be setting ourselves up for consistency. That is the key, consistency over everything. How do you get rid of love handles? Love handles are the affectionate term for holding our body fat around our waist or around our sides. Now, we can't choose an area on our body where we want to lose fat from. So we can't spot reduce. We can't just say, right, I want to lose fat from there. It doesn't quite work like that. But what we can do is we can lose body fat overall, and it will come off there. It will come off our sides, our love handles. Might not necessarily be the first place. That depends on genetics. It depends on hormones. So, for example, as women, as we get into perimenopause and beyond, our body prefers to store our body fat around our waist. Not right lot we can do about it, about where it prefers to store it because of the decline in estrogen. But what we can do is we can make sure that we're not carrying excess body fat full stop. So these are the things that we can do. We can make sure we're in a calorie deficit. So we're going to be losing body fat, a moderate calorie deficit that we can stick to and isn't going to be too drastic that we can't stick to it, but also where we can preserve lean muscle mass. If we get into a calorie deficit and start to lose weight too rapidly, we lose muscle mass, which is detrimental to our bone density. Muscle mass helps with our blood sugar regulation, and it also gives us that lovely tone as well. Lovely, strong, lean tone, and that's what we want. It gives us our shape. If you just did cardio all the time, probably have a very flat bottom and, and no shape. So it gives us our shape. So we want to be in a moderate calorie deficit that we can stick to. We want to be strength training. And yes, I know I'm not saying do loads of crunches. Strength training is massively going to help with your core too. Doing core work, so deep core work, and also for our sides, our obliques, so that we're working the muscle that is underneath the body fat. And all body fat is excess stored energy. That's all it is, just excess stored energy. And then all we need to do is remove the excess stored energy by being in a calorie deficit, making sure that we're working our strength and prioritizing protein as well. So that is going to help us keep our lean muscle. And the amount of lean muscle you have links to your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. So the more lean muscle you have, the higher your metabolism. To an extent. To an extent. Most important things are strength training, keeping your steps up, slight calorie deficit, eating enough protein. Sleep is going to be really important, mostly because sleep affects our decisions the next day. When we've had a bad night's sleep, our cortisol levels can be higher, which is a stress hormone. So we're on high alert. Ghrelin can be higher, which is our hunger hormone. So we actually physically feel like we need hunger. Our body is saying, I need energy. Fast energy increases a hunger hormone. We want to make choices where we get fast energy in. They tend to not be the best choices. Leptin is also lower, and that is our satiety hormone. So it's like a chemical disaster when we get a bad night's sleep. But just remember that it influences our choices. They are still our choices. And we can also choose to note that our hunger hormone is going to be higher. We're going to be irritable. We are going to be wanting fast energy. So we're probably not going to want to make the best choices. But how can I make choices that are going to support me? Right, I'm going to start my day with a really high protein, balanced breakfast. I'm going to make sure that I do that so that I'm not picking throughout the day. I know that I'm going to be tired and irritable. I'm going to make sure that I do my workout because I probably won't feel like it, but I know that I'll be less irritable if I do it and make better food choices. So you can really, really focus on putting the power back in your hands. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but it's just something to watch out for. Sleep really helps. If it's something that you struggle with, please, please don't worry. Just focus on the things that you can control. That leads us really nicely on to any tips for poor sleep, and particularly restless leg syndrome. Okay, let's just talk about restless legs first. So, restless legs can be linked to low iron or mineral levels. So it could be worth getting those checked out. Reduced circulation or just a nervous system overstimulation, and poor sleep. Like I said earlier, it can increase the stress hormones which keep the body on alert. And at night, when we're lying there still, our circulation slows and our nerve sensitivity increases as well. And anything like screens, caffeine, alcohol later on in the day, stress, they can keep our brain in an awake and alert mode as well. So quite simply, our body hasn't fully switched into rest mode yet and your legs feel like they need to move. So things that can help with this are moving, exercise, consistent exercise, but earlier on in the day. You could also do some gentle stretching before bed. That's going to help with circulation. Reduce caffeine intake, or make sure that it is, say, if you're having, I don't know, a cup of coffee at 4 right now, okay, well, can we push it to before midday and see if that improves things? Caffeine's got quite a long half-life. Off the top of my head, I'm sure the half-life of caffeine is about, I'm sure it's about 5 or 6 hours. Anyway, I'd need to look that up, but I'm pretty sure it's around about there. So, and that's its half-life. Also, maybe consider seeing a GP just to get a check on your iron levels. But the most important thing you can do is have a consistent bedtime. Getting up and going to bed at the same time is fantastic for your sleep hygiene. We can have a little bit of leeway, about 20 to 30 minutes, but anything beyond that just sets our routine out. So even if you've had a bad night's sleep, just get up at the same time, because your body will very quickly learn that as soon as your head hits the pillow, it's going to go into a deep sleep. It's going to get some good, efficient sleep. Even if maybe the hours aren't there, it's going to sleep deeper. And also doing consistent exercise. If you did our 20-minute workouts Monday to Friday consistently, by about the third week, you'll find that your sleep, it's a lot better. And doing it early on in the day as well, you'll find that you're getting much deeper, more restorative sleep. And some people find that magnesium really helps as well with their sleep. So magnesium glycinate or citrate, they're the ones that you want to go for. So that's always something worth trying. And then there's the obvious things, make your room cool, make sure it's dark. Don't eat a massive meal just before you go to bed, 2 to 3 hours before your final meal. Equally, don't go to bed hungry. If you're hungry, have something that's going to give you a slow release of energy, like a banana or some Greek yogurt, something like that, before you go to bed if you are hungry. So just little things like that. But the main things for me, I really think, are consistency with your bedtimes and wake times, and exercise, doing it earlier on the day. Exercising when on my period, mine are pretty strong and it affects circulation in my legs. I wear compression tights for the first couple of days and it seems to make my ligaments weaker, so I can get more back pain in the night. I guess gentle exercise is encouraged, stretches, etc. I remember something about no upside down yoga poses, and I guess I might not feel very aerobic dancey at that time. Any general or specific advice? Okay, so speaking generally, um, you know, cycles can change from cycle to cycle, but they also vary from person to person massively. So our energy, not our energy, well, energy can drop, yes, but our hormones drop. And this affects our energy, of course. It can affect our temperature regulation, and our inflammatory chemicals increase. And then that causes cramps and fatigue, and that blood loss from our period. It can affect our oxygen delivery as well. Now, our workouts can quite often feel harder because our sleep quality isn't as good. Yes, joints can feel slightly looser as well. They're less stable, they're more lax, and that's hormonal. And also our nervous system sensitivity increases. So therefore, any effort just feels like it's greater. It feels higher. So very simply, our body is doing a lot of internal work. It's doing a lot. It is trying to shed a lining that it no longer needs, and it needs energy to do that. So it's got less energy for intense workouts. Now, some people will go through their menstrual cycle and actually not really feel massively affected. They might feel a bit more irritable and a bit more bloated at points, but it doesn't massively affect them. So therefore, they don't need to train in any different way necessarily. But if you're finding actually that, gosh, when you get to this time that you're needing to wear compression tights, it's affecting your circulation, you're getting massive back pain, you have no energy, it's through the floor, please listen to your body and just take a few days to really, really dial it back. Yes, gentle movement is going to help. And I always think if you're struggling with cramps or anything like that, twists, so yoga twists or anything, just type twists into on demand, anything like that is going to be really useful. Pilates, walking, mobility, all fantastic. Movement helps cramps, and it will also help to release that back pain that you're feeling as well. But this is not the time to try and push, say, in a HIIT session, or maybe even in combat, particularly if your joints are feeling a little bit more lax. Like I said, hormonal thing. This is not a time to be then throwing out a load of punches if this is how your body feels. If it feels less stable, or doing HIIT or lifting heavy weights, there will be a time and a place for that. And usually it's the week after the period or after that. So as ovulation is starting to happen, that's when we tend to be feeling at our most powerful and strong. So for you, you might start to train in this way because actually that's what your body is telling you to do. Like I said, some people don't feel this way and they don't need to change their training necessarily. But it sounds to me here that that would be a sensible thing for you to do. So there is nothing wrong as well with taking 3, 4, 5 days where you just really pull it back and almost have just a holistic week with some walking. Or if you wanted to do some strength, just keeping it low and removing kind of any high intensity, any jumping for that week. There is nothing wrong doing that as long as, the rest of the time we are consistent. So just listen to your body. That is the most important thing you can do. And they're the sort of sessions that I'd probably be saying would be good and also would help you feel better in yourself as well. A lot of people, they'll experience cramps or say, oh, my period's really bad, so they won't do anything. But actually, that isn't helping either. Gentle mobility, gentle exercise, get some blood moving around the body, get some oxygen moving around the body, get yourself feeling good. Even if it's just short sessions, they can really, really help. What is the best workout to strengthen my lower back? Okay, so if you struggle with your lower back, what is really important to note here is it's probably not just your lower back. Your back is probably overworking because other muscles aren't helping it or are working against it. So when we talk about strengthening the back, it's really important to focus on deep core work, to focus on, yes, strengthening the back too, glute work and hip mobility. Because quite often, if we have tight hip flexors, it's going to bring our pelvis into an anterior tilt. And that can really, really tighten the back muscles. Or if we have really tight hamstrings, that can be another one, it can tilt the pelvis the opposite way and cause like a bit of a lengthening, which can be a weakness as well. So, what we want to make sure we are doing is those things there. Those things there. Now, it might be an overuse thing. It could be that your hips are super, super tight. It could be that, you've been sitting for a while and there's a tightness there and there's less muscle endurance. So the things that I would be doing and putting into my week would be, without fail, a booty band. Absolutely. Then I would also be doing the Deep Core Rebuild series twice a week. They're 15 minutes long. They're brilliant. So I'd be doing that one. And then I'd also be getting some regular Pilates into my life. So if you're doing the Deep Core Rebuild, maybe one Pilates session, but when you finish the Deep Core Rebuild, a couple of Pilates a week, and the glute session, that's going to support you. And then, yes, let's get some back strength and hip release. So type into on demand, type hip in. You'll get lots of hip release things that come into onto the on demand. But in general, if you stick with some regular Pilates or regular yoga, you will be releasing your hips as well. But for now, let's just really make sure there isn't any tightness in that area. Let's put a hip stretch in there. And so you've got the glutes, you've got deep core, you've got Pilates, you've got hip stretch, and then just something like a stronger would be really, really important. Get into a habit of doing regular strength, minimum twice a week. So if you can, a couple of strength sessions. Now, the sessions that I'm talking about, they're not super long. So, I'm just talking about 20 minutes here. But they can be the things that are really useful. Or if you like to follow the timetable, great, follow the timetable, but just make sure that you're throwing in a bolt-on booty band a couple of times a week. And you're doing Deep Core Rebuild series, just tag that onto another session because that's going to really benefit you right now. So I hope that helps. And make sure you do it for more than just a couple of weeks as well. This needs to be something that is done for a good at least month before we can make any decisions as to whether it's helping or not. So do those things, and I promise you that it will help. And also make sure that, like I said, you're doing some Pilates or yoga so you can release your back as well. We want to strengthen and we also want to release it. Okay. Is 3 20-minute workouts a week enough to raise my fitness level? And is a mix of cardio strength holistic the best? Now, if you're coming from a place where you haven't been doing any exercise for a while, so we're starting from scratch, doing 3 20-minute workouts a week is going to have exponential benefit to your fitness level. Yes, it will massively, massively help your fitness. And it is so important to do a variety and do those 3 disciplines, cardio, strength, and holistic, because the cardio is going to work our heart health. It's going to work our lung health as well. It's going to keep us sprightly. The strength side of things is going to help to protect and maybe even increase our lean muscle mass, which is very important for our bone density, for our muscular tone, for our blood sugar regulation, for seeing the results from our workouts that we want, right? And our metabolism. So that's why we do strength work. And it's so important after our 30s, minimum twice a week, everyone. Then holistic, that's very important to release the body. If you're doing strength, you're doing cardio, you're going to be building some tightness up, you need to release it. And also our core. Without a strong core, we're going to get niggles, we're going to get injuries. We need to make sure we are working our core 100%. So they're the things that we want to focus on. So yes, and all you need to do is follow the timetable because I've got you covered. First or second class or both. Now, the most important thing is to have consistency because our fitness and our strength improves when the body gets regular signals to adapt. So you're basically telling the body that it needs to keep on working. So small and often, quite often works better than a big and a one-off. So small and often, say if you did 3 20-minute sessions a week, that's probably going to be more effective than doing one 60-minute session a week. Short sessions will massively improve our muscle strength, our energy production, our heart health, our mobility. Yes, you can do so much in a 20-minute session. But if we're talking about how much exercise do we need in order to be healthy and a healthy person, 150 minutes of moderate exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous, plus a couple of strength sessions. So if you were to follow our timetable, first or the second class, yes, that's absolutely fine, as long as you're getting adequate steps in as well, adequate activity. 7,500 steps on average across the week. So some days, if that's a little bit lower, you pull it up on other days. So it's 7,500 plus on average across the week, plus your sessions. So that's really, really important. You know, the 150 minutes, it includes like brisk walks and things like that. So that's why I say that if you're doing the double sessions every day, well, you're fine. Completely, you're more than covered. You're more than covered. But that's what we want to do. Or you can do 75 minutes of vigorous. So that'll be things like HIIT, combat, aerobics, and then a couple of strength sessions. So it depends on how you want to break it down. But essentially, if you follow the timetable and just make sure you're getting your steps in, you're absolutely fine. You're absolutely covered. And the most important thing, yes, make sure you've got the variety of the sessions in there. But if you're just starting off and actually you're starting from a place where you've gone from 0 to 20 minutes a week, that's brilliant. Stick with that for a little while, keep that consistent, and then you can build from there. Okay, next question, final one. Any advice on which class the best for me to do, Lorna? I'm getting really frustrated now with the limitations of my ankle swelling. I've been told not to do anything aerobic yet, which I'm struggling with. I think maybe I need to build up some muscle in my leg. I've been doing some weights and Pilates, plus a little bit of combat. Help. Okay, so this wonderful squaddy broke her ankle. She slipped over on a dog walk, I believe, in the mud. Now, I can understand how frustrating this is because for this fabulous squaddy, she has been someone who has been so consistent and she's got the workouts and she follows a timetable. She's got them in her routine and it's become part of what she just does. So when you do get to that point, gang, and I promise you, just stick with the routine, just follow the classes. When you don't do it, it will feel weird. That's when you know you really cracked it. You cracked your routine. Now, what we have to do is work with the body here rather than against the body. When we're injured, we get a lot of inflammation. The fluid is going to collect in that area. Basically, the ankle is still bruised on the inside, and any big impact is going to upset it. So it's like the body has sent the emergency services to that area. And if we're trying to do, high impact, hard impact on that area or keep pushing that area, it's basically like the body is trying to fix the area and we're throwing a load more casualties in there. So it's just going to take longer. So it's in our best interest to rest that area. Notice what I'm saying here, rest that area, allow the body to repair and work around things. So we can still work our strength, we can still work our heart health, we can still work our mobility whilst the ankle is repairing itself. Absolutely. So anything jumping or fast movement is just going to be irritating that tissue right now. And the last thing we want to do is be making other areas of our body, other muscles and other joints compensate for it. So let's just give our body a little bit of TLC and give it what it needs right now. And it's in our health's interest, our body's interest, to give that area rest. Even though we're always told, oh, keep going, keep doing so, keep pushing. Actually, no, that area needs some rest right now. And that's the best thing for it. But, and I know it's frustrating, but the more strict we are with that, the faster we get back to the things that we really love to do as well. Hey, you can always do the dance class with just the arms. But no, on a serious note, Pilates is going to be brilliant. And also, I know that this person has had advice from a medical professional. So, and please always do seek advice from a medical professional as well. But I'm just thinking ways to work around this right now. Upper body strength, so we can do some strength there. We can work some glute and leg strength too, as long as that feels okay. As long as that feels okay on your ankle. And maybe things like the booty band might be better because some of it is on the floor, so we're not standing up the whole time too. So potentially that one, depending on how you feel in your body. Pilates and just getting some deep core work in there. Deep core rebuild series, do that one. Can even do Will's push-ups. That would be brilliant too. And there's so many low impact cardio options. So actually, if you're in a place now where you've been okayed to do some combat is fantastic cardio workout. You don't really have to move your feet, or you could take the feet out of it. And if you've been okayed to do aerobic but low impact, then you could do things like sculpt, and you can do things like power walking. I'd probably just avoid anything that's like dance fitness or aerobics, because there could potentially be a lot of twisting in it. So that's probably why they're saying that right now. But it's really reassuring that you've been given the A-OK for everything else. That's amazing. So keep focusing on things that you can do. And if you do find that actually, oh my goodness, that's really swollen up today, right, pull back, give it a couple of days rest, and then ease yourself back in. And we don't want to be pushing the body too hard. Okay, team. Well, I hope you enjoyed that Q&A today. I hope that's been really useful. Please do let me know. And if you're listening on the podcast, please do let me know if you found this useful. And I will see you in class, gang. And oh yes, with the perimenopause stuff as well, if you'd like the reset guide, just let me know. Like I said, really basic, simple things that you can do right now. Just message me, perimenopause, whether you're in the squad or not. And squaddies, perimenopause hub is coming. Stay tuned. Anyway, take care, everyone, and I'll see you in class tomorrow morning.